Oh,
I'm sorry, I forgot to hit the button.
We got you now.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's obviously different levels of police work. I chose the traffic safety end of it. There's obviously crime. There's nothing more important in Lower Merion Township than speeding and safety of children getting on and off school buses. I mean, it doesn't fall off the scale because it's just that.
Well, I want to tell you that I appreciate what you do. I live in Allentown, and Sergeant McDonald at the time was our traffic enforcement sergeant, and he used to get calls from me every day where I would give him a make, model, and as much as I could, and just like you said, he couldn't issue citations. However, one thing that he had been doing even prior to me calling was he takes it out of his own time to send out he's got a PDF where he'll send out a letter to the registered owner's address and, saying, hey, you were seen by a citizen, illegally passing a school bus on such and such a date. We can't ticket you, but just so you know, here's what could happen. So I appreciate you and what you do in the traffic division.
Yeah, and that's not something else we do. I wouldn't call people, but I would call people and be like, hey, I would at times, if it was close, saying, it was somewhere around there, I would actually call residents, especially if it was a resident of the township, letting them know that they were violating it, or it was close to violation of the school bus. And, it just wasn't enough information to process to a citation. So we do go that extra mile. We try to, when we can.
Thank you. Mary Jo Daly, our representative, one of our representatives has her hand up, and I'll ask you to unmute. Where's that button? Depends on what.
I never find the unmute button when I need to. Hello, officer. So there was a bill that was passed again, I think in October of this year, that extended the time frame, because they're calling this a temporary regulation, and they extended it from being a 2-year regulation to a 5-year. Can you just talk about what that means? Because if that's the state going through its regulatory process, how does that differ? How does that coincide with the township and school district?
So the state has to pass it through officially in order to have it into a vehicle code violation. If the state doesn't pass it through, there's nothing that we can do. Just like, say, similar to when cell phone became popular at first. I know we're 10 years past that technology, but a lot of townships tried to make ordinances based on saying hands-free had to be was a violation. A township can't just simply put in a rule that the state doesn't enforce as well. So a temporary violation is basically in a trial period. And from what I understand, there's 3 school districts right now that are currently in that experimental stage. I think it's Bethlehem, Neshaminy, and Springford. And I could be wrong on Springford and Neshaminy, but I know it's Bethlehem for sure. That they're in the experimental stage of this said school bus violation. So once that gets passed through the Senate and the House and made into a vehicle code, then townships can then adopt it into their ordinances. Right now, we still would need to adopt it, even if it's a temporary one, if we want to make it enforceable. You have to have it as a code, no matter what it is. Even a stop sign has to be in the township code to be an enforceable action. Or an attorney, let's say Writer's Mill in Chauncey. There's a stop sign I went through the other day, and I looked at it, and I was shocked that it was there, because this just sort of wasn't, in my opinion, marked well enough. I went back, it was in the code, so it isn't enforceable. If that stop sign was not in the code and a person was cited on it, that person had an attorney, could research it and have the citation dismissed based on a basically illegal stop sign. So same type of situation, just a little bit more technology behind it.
Yeah, I know I go to township commissioners meetings, and they have the police committee, and they're always saying about putting a stop sign or whatever around. So I know that stuff has to be in the code.
Right.
Yes.
Thanks.
And just
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just because it's like I said, that's the biggest thing. So when officers had to testify, it's every T and I, every T is crossed and every I is dotted.
That's good. The other thing, I wanted to just also thank you, because I happen to live on Montgomery Avenue in Narberth Borough, and it's unbelievable to me how fast people think that they can, and they do, speed. I think
We
it's a
do.
35-mile and a 25-mile zones, and it's just unbelievable. So,
Yeah, so
um,
Montgomery Avenue was just changed recently to down to 25 miles an hour.
excellent.
Some of it.
I hope that everybody reads that.
They
Yeah.
won't. I wish there was a better. If I could figure out a better way to get people to slow down, I'll let everybody know immediately, because it'll make millions of dollars. Everybody can have a little piece of the pie.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
People are trying to get to point A to point B, and unfortunately, people drive within their comfort zones. Cars are much quieter and honestly safer than they ever have been. So people
Right.
are, and as I'm sitting on a cell phone right now, we're more distracted than ever. So there's a lot of devices that go into our distraction these days.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Steve Schultz has his hand up. You want to unmute, put yourself?
Yeah, with regard, you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
With regards to child safety, our school bus stop is extremely problematic, and it has a lot to do with the location of it. But our street is also problematic, and we're trying to get more patrols out here, but we're on the edge of the township. And we get somebody if we complain, and they show up for about a week and then they're gone, and things return to normal. But we're between the two train stations, the hospital, Aqua, and Starbucks. And during the changeover of shifts, or during rush hour, our little stop sign on Lancaster Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, or not Lancaster Avenue, but Old Lancaster Avenue, is more of a war zone than it is a stop sign. And we've been asking for somebody to do something about the speed on Pennsylvania Avenue and this corner for forever. And now that I'm taking my daughter there every morning so that she can get picked up for elementary school, I have to actually stand out in the street to keep people from going by. I can hold my phone up like I'm videoing them, and they just give me the finger. We've got a Dodge Demon driving by at 3 o'clock every day with the license plate 50 BMG, Charlie. I think you're familiar with what a 50 BMG is. He's got a 700 horsepower engine, and he's tearing up the street like a maniac. And our little corner of the world is it's a drag strip.
I'm familiar with that intersection. Those are small streets. It's not like it's barely they're barely like one lane.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 lanes, I guess is the best way to put it. It's tight. So we're, I mean, I'm going to take to driving her to school again, but I feel bad for the people who just moved in from New Jersey. And there must be 20 kids along Pennsylvania Avenue that one of them just loses their concentration for a second and steps out in the street. That kid's going to be squashed. And it's ridiculous. It's just completely unacceptable. I can't get Scott Zelov to put bumps in there. I can't get him to put a light in instead of a stop sign. Any suggestion that we come up with is just pushed off.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Scott since he's not here. I don't think he's on the call. I'm going to go inside. I'm sweating outside. I don't want to speak for Scott. He's a commissioner. He's been a commissioner for a long time. The township commissioners, and this is sort of getting off topic a little bit as far as the roadway, and we can talk about, you can call me, I'll give you my phone number. We can talk about it in length at a different time, but the township has adopted a traffic calming policy, and we have to stick within those regulations of that policy. If the roadway qualifies, and we're always willing to look at any roadway in the township. I've done probably 10 this year. And out of the 10 traffic calming requests that we did, we don't ask anybody to submit a petition at first, but out of the 10 traffic calming requests that I have done so far, I believe one has qualified based on the criteria that the Board of Commissioners put in place originally. If there's something that is changed in the future, that is way outside of my pay grade. It's something that I can't speak about. But right now, the way it's set up, it was developed from other jurisdictions and the Pennsylvania Green Book, which is the ultimate traffic calming Bible, or when it comes down to the information that's needed to put quote unquote bumps on a roadway or speed tables on a roadway. River Road was my project. That took 18 months from start to finish. And they were awarded them because they met the criteria. They had the volumes, they had the speeds, that's the two, and they had the township park within reason. So they were the three things that were able to qualify them for the speed tables. Speed tables are the hardest thing to get in the township. But I will put this out there, and I won't take the language back. The only way that you will really change people's driving behavior is if you change the roadway itself. People are going to drive, whether it's a Dodge Demon or a Dodge Dart. They're going to drive within however they feel fit. One person speeding in a day, yes, it's a nuisance, it's annoyance, but that's when it comes down to not having the proper warrants or the number of vehicles to go any further with it. And that's
You're gonna feel comfortable stopping a guy with the license tag 50 BMG?
If he's had a moving violation, no, I'm not gonna have a problem stopping. The problem is
What's
I
the
need
significance of that?
justification.
50 BMG is I guess the largest caliber weapon that you can legally own.
Yeah.
It's an anti-aircraft gun basically that they've adapted to man-portable weapon.
Well, that makes a statement.
Yeah,
It does.
the 500
It does.
horsepower engine opened up wide on a 25-mile-an-hour street. That makes a statement too.
It does, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all in no sense. And we do ask for extra
Okay.
patrol, but then it comes down to the obviously the aspect of when the guys are available.
So what I would like to do is I will get Steve, I will get you Officer Farrell's phone number, and or you, if you want to put it in the chat, Officer Farrell, if you can do that.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
And
I'm not promising anybody anything
If
on this.
not, I'll get it for Steve, because you registered, so I have your email. And we can talk later about stuff we can do through the Board of Commissioners.
I think I have Officer Farrell's email in a reply to a couple of my emails to Scott. So
You may.
think
I
can
am
get
actually
you.
going to put my email, and everybody, just so everybody knows, it's the best way to get a hold of me is through email. I split time between on the road and in the office, between truck inspections, and actually at this point I'm out doing enforcement again. We put out the speed displays, and any of the traffic counting devices that we have because of our lack of manpower. So if the best way is email me, I will always respond back to the email. If people call me, it may take me a day or two to get back to you, so don't get frustrated. And I also don't take offense if you call me a second or third time and saying, hey, where are you? Just because I'm out. So my email, I'm putting my email and my supervisor's email into the chat so everybody can see it. If you cannot get a hold of me, you can contact Sergeant Ruggiero.
Okay.
And one of us, or my partner, Mike Sullivan, who's the other traffic safety officer. You can contact either one of us, and then we'll respond back to you.
Okay.
I apologize because the college guys are coming in now, so give me 1 second.
Right. No worries. Jeremy, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Adrian. Officer Farrell, I'm one of the residents that lives on City Avenue at the Green Hill.
Mhm.
And we have the amount of traffic heading in the opposite direction as the bus stop, which they don't stop. Sometimes they go around the bus on the southbound direction as well. And due to the volume, I think the cameras would be great. And maybe if people start getting tickets, it'll address the issue in some fashion. But I mean, literally, you could have 50 cars go past the bus at one stopping session. I would like to try and go after the path of least resistance, which is moving the stop. Would that be your recommendation if it's possible to move the stop versus trying to get the traffic to stop?
I talked to Rich about this a little bit last week because we had spoken prior to it. Somebody else in your complex had also put in a concern, and that would 100% be the school district's decision to move the stop. We don't really, unless there was some truly type of safety concern that we saw. They have their own safety audits as well, so that falls on their shoulders.
Okay, I
That's-
believe a few police officers were coming to the Green Hill to try and help you address
They
the
were.
issue. But I believe that stopped. I know Friends Central has hired a private duty police officer.
They have.
So essentially, it's between it's up to the school district, whatever they would like to do.
Yes, and I know, I think some of the question was, could they pick up in private property? And again, that's a discussion between the residents of the Green Hill and the school district transportation department, and how much they would have to push for the board to approve it. I don't know the legalities there, so I don't want to speak about it compared
Okay.
to public to private roadways. I know Rich reached out about some of the violations that could be, and that's the other problem too. If a school bus puts its arm out on private property, I think this is what Rich was going at, we can't enforce it because it is private property. So
Right.
the only things we can enforce on private property are parking violations and any serious violations in the vehicle code, and there are few and far between.
Okay, great.
General moving violation would not be enforceable by us.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, actually, the Green Hill has their own security force.
do.
Not that they can not that they give them a ticket, but if they're resident, they would be able to issue a citation in, our terms of a citation.
Yeah, and again, that's something if the board was, if the Green Hills board and Barry Allison was willing to do all that, that's something that could be handled through the association, we'll call it.
Okay, so essentially, if we want to escalate this, we should reach out to the school board. If they'll approve it, then, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that would be something that you would have to deal with 100% the school. Rich Siegel is the director of transportation, great guy. He's always willing to listen, always willing to try to make something better if he can. At the end of the day, that would be your contact there.
Thank you.
Okay, and that would probably come under facilities and purchasing. So when you get your Stand Up for Lower Merion newsletter and you see there's a facilities and purchasing meeting, please go to that. I think there's one coming up this Friday. So that, and when you go to a subcommittee meeting, you have more of a chance of an interaction with the members, which is something you don't necessarily have when you go to the business meeting that are Monday night. So I think that might be a way for you to go. So Amber, I'm going to put you back in the spotlight, and Officer Farrell had a lot of information about how the bus, that system would work. Can you add anything on to that?
About how the cameras work?
About how the cameras work, and I see you had your hand up too, which I just noticed.
That's okay. Let me lower it. I just wanted to comment on Jeremy's observation about possibly, or question, maybe discussion about moving a bus stop, and Officer Farrell commented that would be a district decision. One of the things with bus patrol is that school districts can request what's called a video pull anytime. So if there is a problem, a bus stop, they can pull videos, and one of the things that bus patrol can help do is assess whether a bus stop needs to be moved or not by the frequency of violations that occur. So that's another advantage for having any kind of a camera system. I'm glad to know that bus patrol is already in Lower Merion's vision, but Jeremy, that is one thing that can be looked at, and route studies can be done at no charge also with bus patrol, and so they have helped to determine better locations for bus stops. So that is a possibility.
Okay, someone had also asked, what's the time lag between, they're working on it going back and forth, and it depends. There's no real timing of stuff. It's not like the budget that has to be passed by Wednesday. So, Steve asked a good question. I'm going to go directly to his. Are bus stops in the middle of the street any safer than bus stops at a four-way intersection. So in the middle of the block, I believe he's asking. Did they
That
have
I
it?
can't answer.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure because and again, that would be more of a school district safety issue. I would always say that one bus stop for multiple kids would be the safest instead of several. Does a mid-block, I guess I would have to articulate in the same sense of, we don't highly recommend mid-block crosswalks. So would a school bus stopping in the middle of the street be the same, or uncontrolled mid-block crosswalk? Let me rephrase that. Would a school bus stop in the middle of the street be safer than a corner? I don't know if there's enough data for me to articulate one way or the other. I think they would probably both equally be an advantage to either one, whether it's vision because of a four-way stop sign and 4 people are supposed to stop, compared to a single street where 1 or 2 cars may pass. I think it's sort of a coin flip.
Okay. Anyone else? So it looks like we're actually on the way, and it would have been nice if we had heard from the school district that this was something they were working on. And that has to do with communication. And I will address that with them on Monday. And but I know that there are, if nobody else has any questions about this subject, I think the next point is finding out how quickly we can get this to happen, since it's already started. So that would be our next step. I would like to just do like a little update on township and school district happenings. I want to thank Mary Jo for coming. It appears that she didn't really need to participate because she already did the job in helping get these bills passed in the assembly, and we want to thank her for that. So one of the things I want to discuss, going back with the school district, is I'm going to put Jessica Zimmerman, who has a petition with the school district, to go and give her a little talk about that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate having a couple of minutes to talk to you all. So I am trying to spread the word about how important it is to get portable HEPA air cleaners into Lower Merion School District schools. So air cleaners reduce the COVID infection risk, and I feel that the kids, teachers, and community deserve this. And I'd like to take 1 minute to cite my 3 to 4 favorite pro portable air cleaner points. And you can stop me at any point and ask any questions. So my first favorite point is comes to us through Dr. Kim Prather. She's an aerosol scientist. And she describes that even if you have MERV 13 in the HVAC system in a school, it's still important and crucial actually to add portable air cleaners for many reasons. 1, to get increased removal of infectious particles from the air, and 2, because the HVAC takes time to filter a room, even when you have MERV 13. So supplementing with portable HEPA air cleaners will more quickly remove the virus. So that's one of the 3 of my favorite points. 2, if you want to know how fast can it do that? Well, I have an answer. According to a scientific study cited on the CDC website, adding portable HEPA air cleaners to a classroom can decrease the infectious particles by at least 80% in 30 minutes. So that's point 2. Point 3, on the CDC explicitly states on their website that if you need to have students eat in a cafeteria, which we do, one should use methods such as opening windows, maximizing filtration as much as the system will allow, and quote, using portable HEPA air cleaners. since I went through that pretty quickly, I have my fourth favorite point, which is that the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health says, quote, school administrators and decision makers should purchase HEPA air filtration units to be placed in classrooms and common occupied spaces. And this is key. Even if ventilation in a school already meets current building standards, additional air filtration from portable devices can help reduce the potential for SARS-CoV-2 transmission. So it seems like pretty clear to me, and that's why I've been pushing it so hard, especially with the COVID rates as they are, with vaccine-induced immunity waning as months go by, with a reasonable number of breakthrough infections happening that we're seeing with the new variant. And even kids that have mild or asymptomatic cases are at a reasonably high risk of long COVID, which can create all kinds of havoc with their academic, personal, social development. So I cannot stop advocating for this. That's my elevator pitch.
Thank you. And
Sure.
And speaking of advocating, I would like to ask Amber how she started out on, Mary Jo has to go, and I want to thank her for showing up. We really appreciate her participation in today's meeting.
Thanks, Adrian. And if you need me to come on another time, please let me know.
Okay. Yeah, we tend to focus on more local stuff.
Sure.
So, but if there's stuff that's being passed in the assembly that will affect local, if you would let us know, and we can feature that too.
That is that's harder to do in some ways,
Yeah.
because we don't get a long timeline.
Okay.
We are the minority out there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
It was nice to meet you. Oh, she left.
Yeah.
She's quick.
Too quick. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting about PennDOT. So Amber, I want you to give us a little, how you got started. We know you got started in doing this advocacy work because did your child actually get hit or almost hit by a car going past a school bus?
Almost. And I feel Steve's pain because I used to stand out in the middle of the street. Actually, one of the grandmothers that dropped off, that stood there with her grandchild, and one of the dads, we used to take shifts. And we used to take turns depending on, the day, whose turn it was to stand out in the middle of the street. So Steve, I feel your pain. It shouldn't have to happen. So in 2017, it was my daughter's third day of kindergarten, and she picked up the bus in front of Louis Ramos Elementary School. She goes to a little public arts charter school in Allentown, and Allentown is a walking district, but they have 169 school buses for, religious schools, charter schools, extracurricular activities, daycares, all kinds of stuff. And they're contracted with First Student. So Ramos Elementary School, because of the presumed safety of the crosswalks and crossing guards and things like that, is a bus stop for quite a few schools in that area. And it was her third day of school. Her godmother, one of my really good friends, came along, and because she wanted to see Olivia off to school, my little 45-pound nugget at the time. And so the school bus pulled up on the opposite side of the street. Stop arm came out, red lights came on. We looked left, right, left again, and we crossed, and I heard the car. I had just enough time to look, shove my daughter's godmother towards the school bus, grab my daughter and spin, and I had enough time to bang on the side of the car And the gentleman looked up from his phone and laughed at me as he sped through and just barely grazed her backpack. And I'm not a perfect driver. Officer Farrell's not on anymore. So, oh no, he is. Okay, I'm a great driver. But he stopped.
I'm still here. I heard that.
Yeah, my 20s were a blur. So I was baffled, you know. The bus driver was laying on her horn and screaming out the window, and it was ridiculous. So from that point on, I had my camera out, and I have a YouTube video, the first of her first 11 days from that point, and there's probably a dozen violations. And I like I said, I was baffled. And morning, afternoon, it didn't matter. I've gotten physically threatened for taking video. I had a parent pull back his fist and say, you're so lucky, right in front of his 5th grade daughter, telling me I wasn't allowed to take video on public property, as he was parking illegally in front of the bus. And I've gotten threatened by a high school teacher who we videoed, and he tried to board my daughter's bus. He got out of his car, he swung around, and he got out of his car and tried to yell at me, and saying that the sun was in his eyes, and that's why he didn't see the giant 2-story yellow school bus with flashing lights, even though he was driving east in the afternoon, so the sun was in the west. It was behind him. I don't know if he was looking backwards while he was driving, and that's why the sun was in his eyes.
Obviously not a science teacher.
Yeah, no, he's a math teacher. And he tried to board my daughter's school bus to yell at her, at the driver, for distracting him by honking her horn. So yeah, had my share of close calls with her, and I remember the moment where I decided to do something about it. And my daughter's bus had left for the morning. I was standing there. I had become friends with one of the crossing guards, and another bus pulled up, another car violated. I took the video, and I said, I can't believe that people do this. Yeah, I still can't believe it. And she said to me, yep, nobody cares. And so I went, ping, you know what? I care. She cares. All of the parents at the stop care. Other people have to care too. So I had been posting my videos on Facebook. And so I started a Facebook group called Red Means Stop. And I made it public, and I wanted to see if I was the only person with this problem. And I'm not. And people started sharing videos and commenting on mine. And so I decided, well, something's got to be done. You know, what if we raise the fine? So I did some research, and I don't know if you all have kept up with the news in Indiana over the past few years with children getting hit and killed by cars the past few years, but the state of Indiana, it's a $10,000 fine. And I spoke to their director of transportation, and he said it was the worst idea they ever had because they can't get it enforced in the courts. It gets dropped to a lesser charge because the judge or the magistrate feels bad. So traceability goes out the window because it doesn't get written up as the correct code, and it doesn't work. So then I thought, okay, well, what else could happen? How can we catch people? And then I thought, okay, well, Easy Pass, right? They have cameras. You can get a ticket. I've gotten an Easy Pass ticket before I purchased my own. So what if cameras could be put on buses? So I was working full time. I had no experience with this at all. So Google was my friend in this case, and I found out that at that time, 16 other states had legislation that allowed for stop arm enforcement with cameras. So I thought, well, why can't Pennsylvania be one of those? And so I looked, and we didn't have a law like that. And so I was in finance at the time, so I did a cost analysis. And the first thing I did was went to the Allentown School Board, and I got up during the 3 minutes of public comment, and I asked them for $142,000, pretty please, to purchase cameras for all 169 school buses. And that was met with, tumbleweeds and the little cowboy whistle. It was very quiet. And so that was the first of many times that I heard the following 3 things. That's terrible. It's not my problem. Call someone else. So I went to city council, got the same thing. I went to other school board meetings, got the same thing. I went to some state reps, got the same thing. And so I finally got frustrated and thought, okay, well, you know what? How high can I go in the state of Pennsylvania? State senator. So I went to the PA legislation website. I found my state senator, which was Senator Pat Brown, and his Allentown office website said walk-ins welcome. So I walked in and I had it down to a 5-minute elevator speech, because people tend to lose interest no matter how terrible the story is, because of the McDonald's syndrome that we have as a society of I want it fast, I want it now, or I'm not interested. So I had printed copies of all 16 states' other legislations. I had notes because I called all 16 states' transportation directors, and I called and called and called until they talked to me, found out how they felt about the cameras, if they were effective. I had notes, I had data, I had a little packet put together, and the senator wasn't there that day. And so I said, can I drop this off, please? And his scheduler at the front desk said, honey, you look upset, sit down. So I gave her my 5-minute elevator speech, and she said, listen, I'm a grandmother and this is unacceptable. I feel you, I'll get you an appointment. So the very next week I had an appointment. And I'm not sure what everyone's political affiliation is here. I don't know that it matters. But I'm a staunch Democrat, and I had no idea until I sat down that he was a Republican. But I believe that we're all, you know, the right people are all in this together, you know? So I'm like, oh, I don't think it matters. So, and it ended up not mattering. I got an appointment. I walked in, I gave him my 5-minute speech. I had my pen ready for the, that's terrible, it's not my problem, call so-and-so. And he literally paused. He sat back in his chair, folded his hands over his stomach and said, well, people are assholes. I'll write a bill. And I said, excuse me? He says, yeah, no, I'll write a bill. And I said, really? He goes, you've gotten a lot of no's, haven't you? And I said, yes, I have. He says, no, let's do this. And one of the first things that he did was he reached out to my state representative at the time, Senator Mike Schlossberg, who is a Democrat. And they had a gentleman's agreement. They both wrote identical copies of the bill. And they submitted them at the very same time. And they agreed that whichever one gained traction first, the other one would support. And the Senate bill happened to get through committee first. So they all piled on to support that. And from submission to passing, it was 7 months. So that's that.
That's amazing. But if you can truly find, if there really is an issue that affects, Sean's applauding you, I see that.
No, no, it's not. So the one thing that I found is people will say they care, and people care, but they don't care enough to do anything most of the time unless they have a horse in the race. And
Exactly.
by that, I mean, they have been directly affected by it. And
Yeah.
so I first had to come to realize that the it's not my problem part bothered me very much so. So I made it their problem. And one of the things that I did to help help gain traction is I found people who had horses in the game, and I gave them a platform, which was my Facebook page. We're only up to about 600 people now, but that was enough. And one of the other things that I did was I emailed all 500 school districts in the state of Pennsylvania. I made them aware of the bill number, and I asked them for a letter of support. And each time I got a letter of support, I would attach that and I would re-email all 500 school districts again, saying, oh, Allentown School District supports this now. This is what I am asking for. Would you please send a letter of support to Senator Brown? So we ended up getting about a dozen. I also got a resolution of support from Allentown City Council eventually, because what I did was I followed up. I went back to City Council and I told them, listen, I came to you last year and here's what happened, and here's what's happened since then. So now someone's doing something about it, and I need the city's support. And I got that. I went to the Allentown Police Department. I got a letter of support from them. So one of the things that I learned through this process is you have to find people who have horses in the game that will actually do something and stand beside you.
Because that was one of the things I had seen, like on Facebook, you know, posts about this, and, you know, all these people liking the posts and all these comments. And so I thought this was going to be a really hot topic, but you can see that hardly anyone signed up for it. And it's really disappointing in trying to do that. So I like your idea of the issues and the videos. So if Jeremy or Steve have any of those videos, and we can post that in the Stand Up for Lower Merion FYI. And I think a video will bring more attention to the issue rather than just chat, chat, chat. We got a thumbs up from Jeremy.
And let people give you the finger. It's just a phalange.
Yes. So,
like I said, I've been threatened physically in front of my daughter. My daughter in first grade, she's like, "Don't talk to my mommy that way." You know, it's let them give you the finger. You know, you might not be able to get them a ticket, you know, because you know, and Officer Farrell was right. The bus drivers, they have to submit a form.
and they're trying to drive, and they're trying to like keep kids under control and everything else, and they're watching out for what's happening. It's
and one of the things with bus patrol, and I'm not trying to sell it, like I said, we're already on Lower Merion's radar, but one of the things with bus patrol, when they receive that citation in the mail, there's a link and they can go online and view their violation video.
interesting.
They can see themselves in
That's
the
good
car.
information. I'm going to step away, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
If I did put some more comments in the chat room. If anybody has any questions, more than welcome. Like I said, email me or my supervisor, Sergeant Ruggiero. Phone calls, I will get back to you. I promise. It just might take a little bit longer. But anybody has anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, so
Thank
they're
you.
able to view their violation online. And 95% of people, Officer Farrell was right, 95% of people pay the citation right away. They have the option to fight it in court. So they, just like with, you know, a regular ticket that you get, you can check off not guilty. You get your day in court. At that point, that video is also admissible as evidence. So they know that as well. And then if they lose, they pay all court costs plus the fine. So, and the great thing about the cameras, whether they're bus patrol or Seon or whatever else is out there, the rate of recidivation is very, very low. 98% of people that get a bus camera violation ticket don't do it a second time. And that's the thing that drove me with that solution, was that data.
How much
My
is that
goal
ticket?
was just, my goal was just stop it. Stop trying to kill my daughter. Stop. It's a gigantic bus. Stop. I'm sure your boss, not talking to you guys, but I'm sure your boss, if you're like, you know, I hit a kid, but I'm on time. Right? So, because a lot of times people are late, they're late for work or a bus is in their way or whatever. So, but that was my goal, is just stop it. And that's that data for the rate of recidivation. That's what drove me to present cameras as a solution. So, and from an advocacy standpoint, to get back to that, Senator Brown, amazing person. He will tell you, I handed him the bill. He said most of his constituents just come to him with complaints. Complain. Yes, it's their job to find solutions, absolutely, but they're busy and there are so many problems. So it is very, very helpful if you've got a suggestion. Like, I'm complaining, here's my problem, but here's what I think is a good solution, right? And be willing to pivot, right? I thought raising the fine was going to be the answer. And a state representative helped me to see that I needed to pivot because that doesn't work. So that's how we got this.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I could go on.
No,
I'm
but
very
it's
passionate.
like, it's inspiring to those of us that are community activists, and that like to be involved and want to have this outsized help gene, to see that somebody else was able to accomplish something and that it is possible and we're not just banging our heads against the wall. So, but I think your idea of giving the solution and not just complaining is really good. I think that's key.
One of the things I try to teach my daughter is fix your problem. You know, even from, you know, a little tiny, you know, when she first started walking, you know, a toy was in her way. Well, don't get mad about it. Fix your problem. Kick it, you know, get it out of the way. So complaints without resolution is just noise. So, and I didn't have any experience. I didn't have anyone to look to.
Right.
And because of that, I mean, I documented everything. Every step of the way is on my Facebook page. I would take pictures. I would do a lot of Facebook Live videos. I'm actually mentoring someone in another school district to speak at her school board meeting. I helped mentor a woman in the Parkland School District, and she spoke at her school board meeting. They wouldn't let me talk, even though I have an Allentown address. I live 2 streets away, so I can't talk.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and she got them. Now Parkland's on board getting cameras. So having that example and just not shutting up. So that's the other thing I did. So you got to find find somebody with a horse in the game, be willing to pivot, find a solution. And oh, what did I just say? I can't remember. It just went out of my head.
It's okay. It's in the recording.
Yes. But yeah, oh my gosh, I can't even remember what I was going to say. I'm so sorry.
It's
You
all
said
right.
don't shut up.
Not shut up, not shut up. And I shut up, right? So don't give up. That would be the other thing, because you might think you're banging your head against the wall, but you're not. And I love that you go to all of the meetings, because so many parents that I've spoken to have never been to a school board meeting ever.
Right.
And I sit with them and they're leaning over to me. Oh my gosh, I didn't know they spent all this money on this. Oh my gosh, when did they talk about this? Oh my gosh, I'm coming back. This is amazing. I know so much, you know? So
yes. And
pushing people
that's,
together.
that's so true. So one of the things that's coming up, like in the school district, so we have Jessica with the HEPA filters, and we just have 4 new school board members. So it's going to be interesting to take a peek at what they're doing. In the township, though, they got a lot of money for the American Rescue Plan, and that's the thing that's going on now. And they had made this whole thing on what they were going to do with the money, but they weren't doing any rescue with that money. They were putting it towards capital projects that will be done like years later. So it wasn't doing anything to really help people who needed help now. So a lot of people did reach out, and instead of saying that's what they're going to do right now, they're lengthening the project. And I think Montgomery County did something that is the way they structured how they were getting suggestions for those funds is much better than the way Lower Merion did it. And I'm going to go rewatch that town hall so I can come back with suggestions on Wednesday. And anybody else who wants to go, please do, or at least tune in. We have that. Was there something else I wanted to go over?
Adrian, I did want to see if anybody needed to know the structure of the fine now for
yeah.
violating the school bus.
Oh, yeah, I did ask
But I
that
know
question.
Charlie mentioned it really briefly.
So when they get that ticket, how much is that fine?
Well,
About-
so it used to be $250, but with the passing of the bill, it's been raised to $300. $25 goes to the school bus safety grant program, which is that grant program that you spoke to, where schools can apply, and it's for any safety related items, any bus safety. So if you want to purchase a new bus, or or go with a camera company that doesn't have free cameras and you want to purchase cameras, that kind of thing. So the first $25 goes to that. The next $25 goes to the police department that decided if the video was a violation. Bus Patrol puts together the evidence package for the police. They don't even have to run the plate. So they get an evidence package from Bus Patrol that has the license plate, the picture of the license plate. It's got the registered owner's address, so they don't have to spend time running plates all day. And it's got the entire video approach and rear of the violation. And all they have to do is review those little clips. They're about 15-20-second clips, however many cars, they do a separate one for each car. So each violation that they get $25, which is awesome. And then the rest of the money goes to the school district. So $250 goes to the school district. And then a portion of that money goes to the camera company to pay for the cameras. That's how the school district pays zero money. And then that's all negotiated with the school district. So our program managers and the school district, they come to an agreement and they have a contract. So it's a steady amount of money, and it's all violator funded. There's no tax increase, there's no taxpayer money, it is all violators. So
yeah, that's
and that's money that the school district didn't have before. So maybe to purchase things like air filters.
So win-win.
Yeah, right.
Win-win. Well, I want to thank everyone for showing up today, and I really appreciate the time spent. Thank you. And I just want to give a shout out to Sean Kramer, who is the new Ward 8 commissioner-elect. She'll be coming in January. But it was her idea to do something on traffic safety. And because I had seen the bus stuff making a lot of buzz, we kind of put it, we kind of made the effort on this a little narrower because it was too much to do get a whole bunch of people throughout the township for Officer Farrell to address each one of those issues. So we might do some in the future where we'll take another area. I really like Steve Schultz's area there. That sounds like there's enough traffic there during school bus time that there should be something. And please reach out to us at Stand Up Lower Marion. I'm trying to write and talk at the same time. Could never be a stenographer. At gmail.com. I've just put it in. I'm just putting it in the chat. And so reach out to us. We're on Twitter again. I figured out how to get our Twitter account back. So follow us on Twitter. We're at Stand Up LMN. I don't think there's a 4 in it. Now I got to remember what our Twitter account is. But just go search us and you'll be able to find us. See, there is a 4 in it. This is what happens because I keep like 700 tabs open in the top. And I just want to thank you all for being involved citizens, and keep following us and getting our newsletters and participating in local government. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.